Welcome to part 2. Today, we will be covering the remaining campaign modes, starting with The Dark Below. The Dark Below came out December 9th, 2014, 3 months after Destiny's release, as an expansion for $20. Yeah, well, let's see what sort of campaign $20 will get us. But first, new character! Eris Morn. According to the fan wiki, Crota severed her light and she had to hide deep in the moon for many years. Well, maybe she can tell us more or show us more during the actual campaign? There's no cutscenes with her in this expansion as far as I can tell. So anyway, she tells us that something on the moon is threatening to destroy us all, despite what the speaker said about the Traveler earlier. Something about the Sword of Crota or whatever. Well, we head to the moon and see the new mission at level 8? The hell? Actually, it would seem that this is a mission that came during the regular campaign, but with recent updates, it's now part of the Dark Below storyline, and the quests for Dark Below were rescaled so they coincide with the vanilla campaign. Same with House of Wolves. I was just about to say that this would enforce the idea that this was cut content that's sold as DLC, although considering how much there was anyway in the base game, you could still say that. Is it because of how the light rating system got revamped? Yeah, now's a good time to mention this, but when you equip gear, your light rating goes up and down depending on what you wear. Before Taken King, this would affect the max level you could get, as while level 20 was the soft cap, level 30 was the hard cap, and of course it went up by 2 every expansion, and ultimately this affected what strikes and raids you were allowed into. Now it just increases damage done against enemies and acts kinda like item levels in WoW, where it's recommended you have this when doing stuff, but still, I'd have to wonder how this change would affect players at max cap before that point in history. Anyway, like I said, the first mission sends us to the moon to check out the Sword of Crota. We do the usual kill everything that moves routine until eventually we come to this part where we get a new mechanic. I suppose it is, since I haven't seen this done yet, though then again it was technically not part of the Dark Below stuff and I was waiting to do that later, but whatever. I got a sword now, so I get to play Zelda with it. Yeah, it isn't that impressive. Then again, maybe if I thought to think of doing a lot of the expansion stuff at the same time as vanilla campaign, it would have been a bit more challenging. But that's what I get for assuming the expansion content would scale upward after the first. At least that gun I got from the Exo Stranger is good. Weapons of rare quality and up are the hardest to upgrade since they have currency upgrades that require tokens from vendors and whatnot, which you have to grind a lot for, but at least even as a standard legendary, it ain't half bad. Well, I guess at this point I can't fault the expansion for having short missions since I was over leveled. Maybe it would still have been this short at the right level, but whatever. I have to go to the Cosmodrome again and kill the Fist of Crota before Crota awakens. So I head there, repeat what I did, and holy crap! For a level 10 mission, this enemy doesn't feel like it. He has an aura that seems to stop you from double jumping, and I have to run away constantly from his range attack that still manages to hit even if I seemingly dodge it. Then, on top of waves of enemies, this is the sort of thing that would require another person or two. But unfortunately, I don't have such luck getting friends all the time, and when I do, they would just be starting the game still. But fire teams aside, I was able to get by, and now have to protect Rasputin. Now, something I heard people complain about is that these expansions reuse maps constantly. I mean, the open areas aside, it does feel like at times you have to go through older areas that were used solely for missions, just to try and get to the ones that might be new, or not because you just didn't go to it in a striker raid. It's not just maps, even enemies get reused. There's no new patterns or attacks from what I noticed, but I think they did change the color of the Hive soldiers to green. Yeah, because the red ones were tied to Oryx, while the green ones are Crotas. Well, they still function the same, so it's still not that new. And with that, the final mission. Not counting Sword of Crota, that makes 3 story missions I've done. Though apparently I missed one, but looking through the fan wiki, it doesn't seem like I was missing anything, and besides, Eris didn't give me the quest for what is considered the 4th story mission. I didn't even get the prerequisite quest for it either. What I was offered was a strike mission, but that's outside the main Dark Below campaign, so I just assumed there were only 3 actual story missions. At any rate, I have to kill Crota's soul, which is inside this crystal the Hive are reviving him in. Instead of Minotaur clones, it's wizards I have to kill before the crystal starts attacking me with more enemy waves and junk. Well, after much effort, I end the threat once and for all. Yeah, very bad way to end the campaign. And the payoff was just not worth it. I was expecting him to bust out of that crystal and attack me in his true form. But no, that's saved for the raid. I'll get into the pros and cons of raiding later, but solely on the campaign alone, this was the shortest campaign I got to be part of. I imagine even with the 4th mission I missed, it would have taken me less than 2 hours to complete. Also, for someone who was made to be interesting, Eris was not interesting. She spends most of her time talking through my ghost, which really doesn't allow character development as much as it is the same thing Ghost did. Exposition and what to do about stuff. Any character development she does is told to me without a sign of my character caring. Have your characters interact with me through cutscenes like you did with the Speaker or Exo Stranger, or hell, even Ghost. Ghost had more character development than you. Ah well, maybe House of Wolves can pick things up. This time we have to deal with an uprising involving Skolas, a fallen Kel who took over the House of Wolves in an attempt to overthrow the Awoken and unite the Kel, only to slowly turn to madness as he even starts using Vex technology in his crusade. So instead of a god, it's some angry racial leader, and instead of ending him in a raid, it's in a Prison of Elders challenge, which I didn't get to do either, but from the looks of it, it's supposedly arena mode, with matchmaking, but having waves and waves of enemies. Yeah, I'll pass. Let's talk campaign. This time, we're introduced to Petra Venge, an Awoken who, like Eris, has some history, but given how little we actually interact with her, I could care less what it is. If she and Eris came with me during missions, and or if we had some cutscenes providing actual character development, I'd probably care more since my character would be shown giving a damn, as I should. The only difference though? Petra isn't alone. We also get Varix, a Kel from the House of Judgment, who occasionally talks to me through Ghost, just like the others. Well, at least that's one enemy race character I can interact with. Took them long enough. Almost forgot to mention, new hub area, Vestian Outpost. Available after showing the Queen that Gate Lord head. While it looks kinda cool, I'm amazed of how small it is. Seriously, the tower at least had multiple hallways, rooms, but this? What is this? I can't even go see the Queen and her brother. What's the point of even letting us explore the reef if we only get a tiny area to check out? Just to say, oh, we listened to the fan base, we gave them a new hub area. Yeah, thanks. Anyway, the first mission has me killing a Kel leader in the House of Winter. I suppose this is relevant to what Skolas planned on doing anyway, since while he used to work for the Queen after the Reef Wars, he's off on his own. So next mission, we see that yes, he's after the Kel of House of Winter, and we even get to face off against him for a little bit, as a sort of tease for the final showdown. You think maybe we'd get to form an unconventional alliance with these Kel in order to stop this big threat coming at us? Nope! Like everything else, we just kill, and kill some more. Because why form a complex story arc with the enemy when you can just stay the course like you've always had? No, the only thing is that Skolas wants to be the Kel of Kels, because Descent to Madness is so original these days. One new thing I found was the Scorch Cannon. It seems to work like with the sword weapon that drops, but for range. It's alright, but rarely do I get to use it. After that I get A patrol mission? Now that's just being lazy, because why not pad out the campaign more than just do a series of tasks that could have been handled in just one story mission? The next story mission, of course, we get some backstory on the Reef Wars, and oh hey, I remember this place from the beginning of the game. Easy sniping points too. So it just seems like I'm just doing Skolas a favor and killing the other houses, because he starts getting to that point. As for the Wolves backstory, it just feels forced onto me. If this stuff were kept to cutscenes and went around Petra and Varix, it would likely stick with me, but at this point I'm just a broken record hoping for some kind of good in this campaign to lift it from being boring. Now we go into the Vault of Glass, and now the Vex come into play as he's trying to steal tech from them. And oh hey, the Queen's brother got a name at long last. At this point it's worth noting that the Queen is named Mara Sov and her brother Aldrin Sov. But since neither of them show up in this expansion, nor do I hear their names get uttered much, I would likely have forgotten them, since at this point they're even more forgettable than half the vice captains in Bleach. Who's gonna remember this if they don't show up enough to care? Also, I hate this mission with a passion. Here you have to shoot down these orbs of light before they cast a move that kills you in one hit. But look at how many enemies keep showing up. And the orbs spawn just after one dies, so you have to keep moving and hope you can kill it in time since you have little time to recover. But at long last, it is time to face Skolas once and for all. Petra says she's going to be helping me with the capture team. Well, that ain't happening, because apparently the developers never thought to have helper AI instead of pure enemy AI. So this capture thing should really be kill, as it's pretty much what you do anyway. At least this area looks different and unique. Platforms fading in and out of time, that's nice. But once again, the final boss fight is just the same as most other fights. Waves of enemies, every few health percentages, hide like a coward while you try not to die. Well, I would die, but not before putting a bullet to his head. At least I get credited for that. But yeah, where are all of you now? Must be in a ship, but since I died, I was unable to really look. But yeah, this is the only time you hear the Queen after Vanilla Destiny. You still don't see her though. And like I said, Skolas would only die if you complete the Prison of Elders challenge involving him, and considering how they treat the enemies in there, from what I've seen, it's not exactly as satisfying as a raid boss kill. In any case, 2 expansions for $20 each, and the campaigns were lame. One was short and had a bad payoff, the other was just underwhelming and boring. What makes me think Taken King can do better? Well, they found a way by doing things they should have done from the start. The Taken King campaign begins with a short recap of what we already know on the Traveler, but after that, we get a big space battle between Awoken forces, led by Mara and Aldrin, and the forces led by Oryx, who's made his return to seek revenge on us for killing his son. It looks cool, but I feel like they had to look at Xenoblade Chronicles X and go, huh, why didn't we have an epic space battle like that? Despite their best efforts, the Awoken end up losing, and both Mara and Aldrin are never seen again after this. Oh sure, Aldrin lives, but for now anyway, they are pretty much out of the plot. Jeez, even the Gawcats got to stay and even interact with me more after the main plot. But now we arrive on Phobos, one of Mars's moons. And what's this? The Titan class leader is talking to me this time? In fact, the other two do too during the mission. And wait, a cutscene? With all 3 and Eris? Interacting with each other and demonstrating personality traits? Oh my god, they did it! They finally did it! They learned how to characterize! Yeah, the cutscenes come back, and this time they actually put some effort into giving everyone personalities and things to do to improve on that. Now, while this is mainly on the hunter side of things, as I can assume the other class leads interact with you more on their sides, I can actually say I now have a favorite character in the form of Cayde. He's snarky, he's witty, and he's funny as hell. I can't even remember the last time I laughed at the character's jokes in this game more than I have with this guy. It was always fun hearing him talk during cutscenes and the like.
Need a log while I'm letting it go.
Stargazing tour? Okay. How about an unsanctioned op using modified stealth tech to infiltrate a dreadnought above Saturn's rings so we can knock out its weapons, create a transmat zone, and send in the cavalry?
It'll be waiting for you when you're ready.
Me? Oh, I'm not flying that thing.
That's arcade! Even the opening mission on Phobos does a good job on setting up the Taken. Starts out routine, having us going up against Cabal, but the Cabal are either leaving or already dead. It builds up to this eventual reveal, and soon, oh snap, it's like the galaxy enveloped them, and it's the definition of space zombie. Now, going through the maps before you already know what these guys are like, they're basically reskins of older enemies, but with minor changes in attack pattern. While the new Taken enemy type has a cloning mechanic, which requires you to kill them quickly before they multiply and overwhelm you. But still, this mission at least sets up the threat very well to where at least I can give credit for intriguing me. It got me hoping that the whole campaign will be like this, but...
I don't think I'm on Venus anymore. This looks an awful lot like the Black Garden.
Oh, really? Yeah, as soon as I was heading for the Black Garden, I remembered that they were still reusing map assets too. Well, I suppose that while they're also using Ghost to have characters talk through instead of cutscene interaction, I should have known that we'd get more originality now that they've stepped up the characters a bit. Even Oryx gets to talk to you later on, and in English no less. We finally have a major antagonist that doesn't speak in a cryptic alien language. It finally means something. Speaking of which, each class gets a mission that lets them unlock a third subclass. In my case, the Night Stalker, which admittingly has a cool special power, but like with the other subclasses, it takes a while to upgrade. Unless you have that special item that the Legendary Edition gives you to equip. In order to get to the Dreadnought, the spaceship that wiped out the Awoken, we need to get a stealth drive from Cayde's stash. So we head up through the Cosmodrome till we get to this part where we have to face the Echo of Oryx. He's like a wizard that can easily find you, and the area is so open that once other enemies show up, it becomes harder to find good cover. And here I thought the game would get better and change things up. But nope, same old, same old. Well, anyway, I head my way to the second new major area in the game, the Dreadnought. I get shot down, but make it inside. Unlike Phobos, the Dreadnought feels empty. You'd think me invading it would get everyone up in arms once I start killing stuff, but nah, only at certain times like every mission. Gotta keep with the atmosphere after all. Then we find that the Cabal have boarded this ship too.
Cabal? We'll deal with them later. Secure that transmat zone.
Translation? Kill everything in the area. Well, now that we have a way in and out of this place, which I guess Oryx isn't going to do anything about, we can now work our way to Oryx himself. First, we have to get some intelligence from the Cabal. Again, good opportunity to maybe form like an impromptu alliance with them, even if temporarily, but nope.
Let's kill them all!
Soon we follow one Cabal in particular as he infiltrates this section before being, well, taken. And then, of course, another Echo fight. Last one at least, but geez. Even with more places to hide, I still can't help but feel it's difficult to avoid this guy. Now, because we weren't able to enter through the portal he came from, because we are not Ascendant, I guess, we have to go back to the moon and steal a fragment of Crota's lost soul, which means we gotta go back to the room we destroyed his crystal in. And now you know why I love the machine gun. It destroys everything and hits incredibly hard. So the ogre gets taken, and I get the currently empty crystal. For once, the game actually fakes me out by saying mission complete, but uh-oh, what's happening?
Dark transmitter.
Infection! Your light dies here.
Wah! I'll admit, that was pretty cool. Yeah, lots of tension here. Though maybe to disguise the fact we're going through most of the old areas, but in reverse. They even add doors that require me to pick up stuff to unlock, but still. Look where I end up. Yep, now we got to steal from Rasputin to get some cloaking tech. Now I'm confused. I thought the War Mind was a program that's on our side. What would it do to impose us wanting to use some of its tech? It doesn't even do anything to me anyway. The Taken are here and wrecking things, so whatever ties that there were to the War Mind are irrelevant. But hey, at least we get to go and steal Crota's soul using what now?
Stealth mode.
Well, after getting past the many pats, I succeed in getting the soul, but have to put up with hordes of enemies until I can get extracted. And for once in her entire lifetime, Eris does something to benefit me. She warps me out of the dungeon. For someone who's still on Earth but was able to do that, you'd have to be pretty powerful, but who knows when I'll see more of that again. Now for the last mission. Take down Oryx once and for all. We enter the Rupture, face off Taken, and hi, Oryx!
Strength of light. I have taken entire worlds. You are not worthy to face me.
Yeah, screw you. I kill your Taken, Cabal, and Ogre. And now I'm coming to kick your ass. I love the build up to the encounter. Dark hallway, leading into the main chamber. Now this is how you open up to a final encounter. Of course, he seems to function similar to the Echo and like every other boss fight before him, but this is a multi-phase boss, so he does have you change up tactics a bit later on. And like before, I end up dying. A lot. Crap! Wait, what? Wow. AAA game indeed. Thank God getting him to half health is a checkpoint. I would run out of special and heavy ammo so much, it's crazy. Once he's like at a third of his health, he makes a ring of fog that he can hide in and become immune to damage. You can draw him out by shooting his head, of course, while still dealing with the enemy spawns, but at least there's a sense of tactics involved. Clear out, draw him out, dodge, and fire. And hopefully don't die. Finally I defeat him, only for him to do something with his sword and vanish, only to return in his raid.
Guardian was the key. For the first time, the whispers are silent. It is done. I have accepted my fate. I will not fail.
Yeah, another underwhelming ending. After all that build up to such an epic fight, it just ends with a low payoff akin to how Cataclysm ended. The fight with Deathwing looked cool in concept, but the end to that story, not so much. At least this time there's reason to believe you would want to finish this Sinnoh raid, as opposed to when this happened with Crota. But alas, while this expansion showed signs of improvement, I just couldn't stay interested enough to go that far. Really, as far as the campaigns go overall, it started out promising but lacked enough lore to keep you invested. Then it very briefly gives you something you were hinted on and ends it before it can even pick up. Then it gives you something different to try and expand the lore but turn out unappealing. And now we have something that starts out strong but ends on a sour note. I feel like they could do better, but whether it be their own undoing or because of Activision, Bungie just couldn't do it for me in the story department this time. I'll go over my final thoughts on the single-player experience soon enough, but first, we need to cover everything else I was able to experience, including the PvP. So check out for part 3, when I cover just about everything else I could find.
SpaceMonkeyMafiaStudios.com.